Oh gosh, thanks, Kara. I am kind of a natural born problem solver. I've been that way ever since I was young, and it's come through to now. And when I first started my first career job, oh gosh, many years ago, I was working for a Fortune 50 company, and I started being interested in, okay, if I'm going to hang out here until I retire, what is that going to look like for myself? And so I started researching what's a career path? What's a career progression? How do I have to develop in my own career? And that was in addition to doing things like finishing my undergrad, starting my graduate degree. So once I got onto that path, I started learning about how to do my resume, how to apply for jobs, how to write cover letters and thank you letters, and all these different things that a lot of people around me didn't know about. And I used that knowledge to grow and get myself promoted twice in the current company I was with. And then the big shift came when I leveraged all that knowledge and got out of my first role and into a second role at another Fortune 50 company. I was so excited. And that's when people around me started noticing and saying, hey, can you help me do that? Can you help me apply for this job? Can you look at my resume? Can you tell me what I have to do to get this salary? How do I write a cover letter? Do I write a thank you letter? And so I would answer all those questions for people. And ultimately, when I left corporate America in 2015, just because I had deep satisfaction in the role I was currently in, people were still reaching out to me and asking, what are you doing now? Can you help me? Oh, you finally have time to help me with my resume. And so my husband is the one that said, you should open a resume writing business. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should. And then I had all kinds of doubt and imposter syndrome. Like I could never charge anybody to write their resume. That would be terrible, right? That's not me, right? And then I started investigating it deeper, and I found that there was coaching, like a whole process of coaching people, life coaching, business coaching, career coaching. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to start on this path. And that's what I did. I started on a career coaching path, helping other women in 2019.
What is the name of the organization? Like, what did you call it?
Oh, when I first started, I was
Okay,
just,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I would love to hear that too.
when I first
I will tell
started,
you the names of my companies when I first started. They're so bad.
no, when I first started, the short story is I was working at SBC at the time, and you may or may not know this depending on what area you're at. Actually, it was Ameritech, and then it became SBC, and then SBC was bought out by AT&T. And I got into the organization because one of my high school friends, his mom worked for Kelly Services, and she placed me there during one of my college winter breaks, and I got myself hired full time. And
Mm.
then when I left AT&T, I went to FedEx Custom Critical, which was an amazing opportunity.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to mention you were going to talk about the name of your first resume writing, but if you had a name for that, did you?
No, I didn't
Oh,
actually have a special name. I was just operating under my personal name, Annette Garsteck. So I had a friend that said, if it's just you and you're an entrepreneur, sometimes it's cute and clever to come up with a business name, but mainly people just know you, so you should
yeah.
go with your name. So I
Yeah.
was sticking on that premise, and that's the premise even I use now, even though it's Annette Garsteck Career Consulting. My name is right at the front, and it makes it easy for people to find me.
Yeah, that is so true. And when you
Mhm.
think about the types of people that you support and coach, you had mentioned women. Is it still
Mhm.
women? Is that the niche or the space that you carry for your clients?
Yes, my ideal customer is really me. So I try and target women that are 35 and older and need help rebuilding their confidence, recognizing their accomplishments, understanding how valuable they are, and then helping them, get that information out of their head, thinking that it's not special, helping them recognize that it is so very special, and then getting it onto the page. And by the page, I mean their first impression documents, their resume, their cover letter, their LinkedIn profile, sometimes just in general, their presence, and helping them communicate it out to the world. And the first part of that is helping them see it, right?
Yeah. I would love to hear if you have any stories of clients that you've worked with, things that they've shared with you as far as working with you and how that has helped them.
Yeah, I was thinking about success stories because I sort of have a short memory. So every success story that happens right then and there is then my favorite success story. Um, but what I do hear a lot in general is I hear women say that I couldn't have done it without you.
Mm.
So that's really the part that like sits really well with me, is that somebody felt like I was a good guide, a good partner that sort of ushered them through the process, and they didn't have to do it alone. They didn't have to feel scared. They didn't have to wonder if they were doing it right. There was somebody saying, yeah, go ahead, do it that way. That's great. And to get that assurance and that confirmation, I guess is the word
Mm.
I'm looking for, that they're on the right path.
Yeah. And thinking if you're on the right path, because if you think about the job search process, it
Mhm.
is solitary.
Yes.
Yeah. And partly because we don't want people to know maybe that we're looking, and partly because what if we get a no and we have to tell people, yeah, no, I didn't get that. That it probably is very comforting to know that there's someone, not only someone who's like a friend, but someone incredibly knowledgeable and successful as you help and walk them through this.
Yeah, it's really so humbling that people
Mhm.
see me that way. And so you know what, Kara, I'm a big sister. So I have a little brother and a little sister. And I guess that's who I try to be. That's how I try and show up for people that I work with. I try and think, what would I tell them as their big sister so that I can help them with whatever it is that they're going through.
I love that. The big sister. Oh my gosh. That just gives me a lot of like wonderful, warm, fuzzy feelings of someone telling me like it is,
Yeah.
right? Because a big sister's gonna tell you like it is.
Yeah.
Um, but will protect you and be kind of like a little mama bearish type of thing. If anyone tries to bully you around, it's like, my big sister's here.
Yeah. I'm not going to have it, not going to let it happen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that is great. So when you think about, you had mentioned um, women, a certain age group, is
Mhm.
there when you're talking to someone where like, oh, yeah, this would be a great person for me to coach? Because I'm assuming it must be a two-way street. They must feel great about working with you. You must feel great about helping them. Is
Mhm.
there like a one thing that comes to your mind or like, yeah, I this is someone that I want to work with?
I love to work with people that have tried other things. So I want
Mm.
to work with someone that is daring enough to expand their world and try new things. And sometimes that's super uncomfortable. I had one woman that was in her job for the past 18 years, and she's like, oh gosh, I can't do
Mm.
it. It was already her second career, but she wanted to work a few more years until she could retire. So I believed in her. She was a spectacular candidate. And today, actually, the day I'm talking to you, we're recording this interview, she started her role. So it's a good day.
That is a good day. What does it feel like to you when those good days? I mean, they're certainly not your good days, it's their good days. What does it feel like?
I feel a lot of pride. I'm so proud of the work that my clients have done. And I also feel like when I do something good and put it out into the universe, that it's going to come back to me. So on those first days, I swear I'm more excited than they are. I'm so nerdy. I'll send them a text message. I'm like, how did it go? And you know what? I've gotten feedback that they say, yeah, it feels really good. Thanks for thinking of me. So
Mm.
yeah, I geek out on their first day. They don't even know how geeky I am about it. I put it on my calendar and everything so I can remember to
Oh,
congratulate them.
it's wonderful. It's, you had said something and I'm thinking, I wonder if it feels lonely in your first starts within an organization. We had talked about how lonely it could feel in the job search process, but you're right, right? It's like your first day of school or
Yeah.
some horrifyingly enforced or imposed social structure. Their first day at work.
Their first day at work. And you know what? Normally it's not too lonely. There's other people around you, but you can feel isolated and you can feel, how do I want to say this? You can feel like you don't belong yet. So you don't
Mhm.
have the community around you at work that maybe you had at your last job. So from that perspective, it can be challenging. But to know that there's somebody else like cheering you on, I feel like that's a good comfort.
Definitely. Speaking of people cheering you on, um, uh, curious to know, and this was not one of the questions that I had sent to you beforehand, so get ready. Um, Curious to know what the journey has been like for you in starting your own business. That can also feel very solitary.
Yeah, it can feel solitary. I What's so hard about starting your own business is that there's no clear roadmap, right? There's no textbook that I can read, no instruction manual to say, do this, do this, do this, do that. Boom. Now you have a new successful business. Good for you. And so there's little pieces, parts that you pick up along the way. You read, you do research, you work with other coaches, you work with other entrepreneurs. And now I'm glad that that's the process because I've encountered some other great women entrepreneurs in marketing, in law, in all these different areas that I can like sit back on and work with and ask questions to. And it's a super welcoming community. It's also part of the perk of being with the International Association of Career Coaches because the support I get from my other peer coaches is overwhelmingly positive. People show up for you. They cheer you on when you're being successful. They let you know what they did when they ran into a situation that I run into. And then they also let me fail without judgment and
Mm.
then say, hey, okay, no big deal. Let's figure out how to do it better, how to do it next time.
We hear that a lot. It's not a question that we are putting or we have put in for these interviews. And we hear that a lot. We hear that there's something really special about the other coaches that are part of the IACC. And it's
Mhm.
the other coaches, even today when we were on that call, when Gail was mentioning how unique it is. And it's really interesting, safe space where we really are there supporting one another.
Mhm.
And it's odd because we're all quote unquote competing somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people though that feels that there's enough to go around.
Yeah.
Just because I'm doing well doesn't mean you won't do well or that Gail won't do well. So that's the mindset that all of our coaches have.
Mhm.
It's super refreshing and it's liberating. It's liberating to know that I can show up on a call or message someone or email someone and they don't shush me aside. They make time for me, they have the space for me, and they welcome me in. It's
Mm,
amazing.
it is amazing. So I want to switch gears a little bit here because
Yeah.
I've seen your marketing, your social media marketing. It's fantastic. And not that we're comparing any of the coaches or anything like that whatsoever. It's just cute. And like you're saying, let's have cute marketing. It's beautiful and
Thanks.
heartfelt. And I think people really get to see who you are as a coach. Would you say that the social media marketing part of having a business has been something that's been easy for you to grasp? Because it certainly looks that way.
Oh, well, thank you. I am so glad it looks that way. No, it has not been easy. But it has been something that I knew I had to do
Mhm.
because I don't have like a budget to spend on TV advertising or to get myself paid ads on Facebook or YouTube. So what I've done is I've learned it and then I made a decision that I was going to be consistent.
Mhm.
So that's what I've done. And that consistency has helped me learn. And I've, of course, had a few coaches along the way that help steer and redirect me. Um, but it's not easy finding your voice. And Kara, I was never like a natural writer. So what I actually do is a lot of times I have an idea and I just turn my voice notes on and then I start talking into my phone or into my computer because if I can get the idea out, even if it's not fully formed, I can come back to it later and I can refine it and then I can truly turn it into a post. And then the other part of social media marketing that I find very works well for me is just being who you are. You can't be somebody else. You
Yeah.
can't be this persona because then when somebody shows up to be coached by you and you're not that person that they saw on LinkedIn for 3 weeks straight, there's going to be a big disconnect. And then that person's not going to want to work with you because you're not being authentically who you are.
Yeah. Yes. And I see that a lot in your posts and your marketing, your outreach. It's it's as you use the word refreshing, very refreshing because you are who you are, and it's so nice. It's really, I enjoy reading yours.
Oh, thanks.
Not that I don't enjoy reading all the other coaches, but I certainly do enjoy reading yours because I get a sense of who you are. And through those posts, I've learned more about you, even though we see each other one or two times a week and we talk. So that's been nice. Any words of wisdom that you would give to new coaches that are thinking about stepping into the space who feel very much like you? I've always helped people get jobs. People still come to me asking for advice. Any words of wisdom that you may have for them?
I would say take a chance on yourself,
Mhm.
invest in yourself, and take the leap. Become the coach. Become that big brother or big sister that somebody needs in their life that can help them guide them through this season because it is isolating and it is challenging. So if you could be someone's light during that isolating, stark, dark time, I say go ahead and take that chance. You certainly won't be sorry. And I'm always surprised, Kara, about the things that I learn from my clients. So honestly, I'm not really sure who's getting more out of the arrangement or the relationship, but I feel lucky to have worked with these individuals because of all the ideas and inspiration and just the relationships that they bring into my life. That's probably my favorite part of it all.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Annette. Well, to close off, anything you want to say at the end
Oh
of
my
this?
goodness. How about if people just join me in the conversation over on LinkedIn?
I love that. How can people join you in the conversation on LinkedIn?
I am there. I'm there Monday through Friday, and my profile is just my name, Annette Garsteck. And then from there, if you want to connect with me on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or see my website or schedule a discovery call, it's all there on my LinkedIn profile. I would dare say that's my hub, even more than my website.
Mhm. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Annette.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Kara.
much.
I appreciate it.